Yo, what? There we go. Yo, what's up, geeks and nerds? It's Dr. Geekly here, and a host of Geeking Out Loud podcast where we talk about all things comics, movies, games, anime, everything geeky and nerdy. And today, we got a special guest with us today from what you see on the screen. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Adrian Hough. You may know me as this fellow here, Kurt Wagner, the nightcrawler.
Yep, and today we are talking full-on X-Men, Mutant Proud, everything X-Men 97 related. And yeah, let's ask him. The first question is, how did you get into voice acting?
Oh, okay. Well, years ago, I mean, I do mostly on camera stuff. That's sort of, and hang on, just got an email from Jay. I do mostly on camera stuff, and about 30 years and 40 days a year ago, I did this German character in this one of those drama documentaries about the war and all that. And in order to get that, first of all, 40 years ago, I was in London, England, and I was obsessed with dialects, and I wanted to become a British actor. So I worked for 10 years trying to, get various dialects, and so I had a taste for it. Anyway, 30 years ago, I'm doing this thing, and I have a friend who was a friend from Berlin. And so they introduce us, and he comes over to where I'm staying, or I go to where he's staying. And he takes me through, like, I have pages and pages of German lines. And so I commanded a platoon of tanks supporting the 277th Infantry Division. I think that was the first line in the thing. And so this guy, he had this, like, normally when you see Germans, they are portrayed more like this, robust and very loud. And he had this kind of a very gentle sort of sound when he was talking, and everything is very soft. So I thought, oh, that's really interesting. And I get sort of obsessed with sounds and tones, and so I kind of absorbed it. And he talked for about an hour, and I recorded it. And so that was what I used for that part. And then, I don't know, a month or so later, my agent joins forces with a voice agent, and the voice agent says, "Hey, we've got this show, Project X. Do you have anyone who does a German accent? It can't be cartoony." And so I walk into the voice studio, and I'd done a few commercials and stuff vocally, and there's this script, and it ends, "Look in your heart, Herr Logan." Anyway, there it is. It's all there, and that the Nightcrawler scene. And I didn't know anything about the X-Men. I was just, going in there. But there was something about the soulfulness of the script, and I just recalled this guy I'd spoken to, and the tone of the character very much matched this sort of soulfulness, and his first line in the episode is, "Heartless fools." So he's very sad. He's very kind of sad. Anyway, so, I walk in there, and there is a guy behind the counter, behind the glass, and he's Dan Hennessy was his name, and he's got this sort of the Robert Palmer hair, and he's sort of looking like, I don't know, another one. And he says, "Yeah, just go ahead." And there was something, that kind of spark happened or something. And what I was feeling from the script, and it matched. And suddenly I'm doing this kind of heartfelt speech to Logan, trying to convince him to sit, to pray and argue. We have this great argument and discussion, and which ends with that, "Can so many people be wrong?" And anyway, so I finished that line, and I think in between the start and the finish, I kind of went blank, and I don't know what happened, but I stopped, and it was quiet, and I looked up at the guy behind the glass, and he's like, he's a very passionate guy. And I was like, "Yeah." He says, "Want to do it again?" And so I did another take. I'm going, well, I hope I can do that again. Anyway, I did another take, and the next thing I know, I'm in a studio. I've got Cal Dodd on my right, and I've got Lenore Zan on my left, and I'm looking at a guy put his fists into claws, and next to me, and then Lenore with that incredible, crackly, fun, playful, badass thing that Lenore is, and she still is, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my foray into that was the first animated show I ever auditioned for.
Okay.
And then 30 years, and I worked 2 afternoons because I did that episode, and then I did the Bloodlines episode, and then that was how I became an X-Men. And then, you know, voice acting, the casting director started calling me in again and again for other things. So
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, it's Nightcrawler. Everyone takes him like when they see Nightcrawler, like, oh, he ain't no threat. Then all of a sudden they see how he is with them swords, and
Yeah.
they quickly be quiet.
Well, that's what happens in X-Men 97, because they wrote him in amazing, you know, because it's not all kind of like very sad news I have to tell, and it's not all that. It's just like, no, this moment here that we're seeing is no, mein Freund, nine, you know, when the Prime Sentinels are there, and then, you know, Logan goes, listen, lady, I got 6 reasons why, and he has 6 claws coming out,
Right.
and then I go, no, mein Freund, 9, which is a pun, of course, because
of course, but it's still badass when you see that.
Yeah.
And no, it's like, what? Okay, so this made you a fan of Nightcrawler after you did the first X-Men anime series.
Sure, yeah. I mean, he's a wonderful character to voice.
So that means, like, in season 2, would you like to see them do more with his like family heritage and everything, like with Mystique and Rogue, and like dive deeper into that?
You know, as soon as people start discussing the seasons which aren't out yet, so I've got my sister's texting me. I'm just gonna have to mute her or something like that. As soon as people start talking about season 2 and what may or may not happen,
mm-hmm.
You know, I just have there's nothing I can say. If I say, oh, I think this would be nice to happen, and it doesn't, then
it makes them disappointed.
If this might not be nice to happen, and it does, then, you know, I've leaked things which are in this
big no. Yeah,
it's no, and an NDA. I think, given the writers, given the animators, given the team which is behind this now, I think people are going to be excited and thrilled.
Exactly. Like Nightcrawler. What was your favorite moment with Nightcrawler in the X-Men 97?
Oh, I think it is between 2 things. One, it was the very first episode that he appears in, because, you know, we get the script a day or 2 before, and I think I just quickly read through it. Oh, Nightcrawler. Okay, I'm ready. I'll be, and I'd been, you know, because 30 years had passed, right? So I was like, let's see if I can get up there again, and so I was practicing all the lines from the original, and that sort of very gentle thing that he is. And I get in there, and, you know, I'd read it, and so there's a whole first speech. Is meine Freunde, oh, you Americans, so theatrical. I blame soapas. There's a whole speech in there, and so I did that as one weird speech, and then and it's over Zoom. I'm alone in the studio, and Meredith Lane, the voice director, says, okay, that's great, Adrian. I'm glad you're here. But here's what's happening. He's teleporting in and out of the scene. And I was like, oh, he's playful Nightcrawler, you know? And so there's that was, and to the next take, I think, was the one that they used, where he's like, ha-ha, like all these sounds came out of me. And I for every little section, I would like change my position as if I'm over here now, and then I'm over here, you know. And so it was super fun to play that kind of fun part of him, and it's between that and this teleportation sword fighting scene where he teams up with Logan, because the animation in that is just magical. I mean, the things they do with the teleporting, taking them both through the teleportation.
That was my favorite scene with Nightcrawler.
Yeah, which it's the first time I sort of saw, oh, that makes sense with who he is, and his
Right.
experience of the world. Anyway.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. Nightcrawler is just a deep character in the X-Men, like just from the very beginning, because like the way he looks and being and like his spirituality and faithfulness, all of it, like it's like a poem. It's like poetry right there.
There's layers and layers and layers, and it's hard to fathom because he can be one or then he can be the other. Yeah, and he'll surprise you. So I mean,
Right.
what I love playing about him.
That's why, and like I said, we got a little bit of what I was talking about earlier about season 2 from like when he was protecting Rogue with Wolverine, like, because that's like his half sister in the comics and everything, because Mystique.
Right. If we're talking about season 2, I can say.
Oh no, I know. I'm not saying that. I'm saying like in the comics and
Oh yeah.
like just that little piece right there of like Nightcrawler's kind of demon side, like I like to call it, when like he's flashing and just swashbuckling.
Yeah.
And but no, what is some memorable moments from from like recording in the series? Do you remember?
Well, I mean, the main one of X-Men '97, I think, is watching the scene, because I hadn't seen anything yet. And when you do something 30 years ago, which was a hit, which we didn't know was a hit, we would just, like every now and then they'd call us into the studio to do more, but I really wasn't in the thick of it like the rest of them, like Cal and Lenore and Norm Spencer, may rest in peace, and Alice, and all those people were like in the thick of it. But so I'm in the studio, and I have to go back for this episode, which is like 107, I think it is, or 108. I think it's 107. And so it's like I have to go back in to record some of the grunts of like hitting the wall, and then there's a whole bunch of like random swashbuckling sounds. I think I threw in an en garde at one point, and even though instead of German, but he could spell it, en garde, like so. And I just sort of threw a whole bunch of scenes, like sounds in there. It's called ADR, additional dialogue recording, or some other name. And so that was the first time I saw any of the animation, and I was like, ooh. And I was just seeing the little bits that because they have these two lines that come across and meet in the middle, and that's when you start your line to sort of fill in the lip flaps. And so I was seeing all these little bits, and I was like, oh, okay, this looks interesting. It looks like the original, but with something else. And so I was going, ooh, this looks good. And of course, they heard me through the Zoom screen. And it's Meredith Lane again, and I think it was Chase Conley who was directing, and I can't remember who else was back there. Maybe Jake Casterin, because they're very small, and I'm not wearing my glasses. Anyway, so they said, "Oh, you haven't seen any yet?" I went, "No." And they went, "Would you like to?" So I went, "Yes." So that at the end of the session, they showed me that whole scene, and something happened, when 30 years goes past and you see something which is just like connected to that and connected to a character, which I think, I think one person did it in Spider-Man before me, but having been called back to it, my heart was pounding, and I was so emotional, and this, because it was so beautiful to watch. I mean, it was stunning. And I think I had this little tear. I felt a little tear coming down the side of my face. And I was like, oh no, this is so embarrassing. You're not being professional. And you should just be professional. And I was trying to, hide it. And I look at the Zoom screen, and everybody on this side is like, oh, and there's sort of like, and I'm like, oh, okay. No, I'm not embarrassing myself, because they're thrilled that I'm thrilled with what they're doing, and that was when I sort of realized that it's just, it's a wonderful bunch of people to be working with and playing with, and just, being involved with. It's a real privilege. So it was fun. That was my recording moment anyway.
Oh yeah, like I bet it gets emotional, like just seeing the scenes that you work so hard for, and just play out like this, like, and especially with beautiful animation, beautiful storytelling, all of it right there.
Yeah.
It's now I got a hypothetical for you, and not much even two, but if they made like an X-Men 97 movie, would you be down to play in it?
On camera, you mean, or the animated?
Or the animated?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm down to do anything. Basically, I'm a working actor, and I love this character. So absolutely, I would.
I think it would be good. I mean, but yeah, like, what did your thoughts, if I may ask, like when they brought up that X-Men 97 is coming back, continuating, how would that make you feel?
Well, I'll preface this answer by saying 6 years ago, I said to my voice agent, because I was trying to get an audition for an animated film, and I can't remember what it was, but it was a fairly big deal. And I said, well, what can I say to them to say, let's get this guy in? And I said, well, I told my agent, said, just tell them I was the Nightcrawler in the original animated series. And my voice agent at the time said, nobody cares about a 25-year-old cartoon. And he's a wonderful voice agent. I should preface it by saying he's an amazing voice agent, but I don't think anybody knew, that it was going to be a thing, right? Mm-hmm. So, and then about, obviously 2 years ago, I get the email forwarded to me, and the forwarding message was, Adrian might recognize these lines, and it's all the lines from the Nightcrawler episode in like 1995 or 6. And so I looked at them and I thought, well, can I do that again? And so I did basically that whole scene for them and sent it off. And then next thing I know, that we have a deal. And I find out that Lenore's there, Cala's there. They've mixed up that. So there's some newer cast who are fantastic. AJ Lucasio, JP Carliak, Holly Chow, and Jennifer Hale coming in to do stuff. It's just like a stunning group of people to be involved with. Ooh, so yeah. And then the big thrill was actually going to the premiere. It was like they had a fan event at the El Capitan in Los Angeles. So I flew down, and I just remember walking up to the theater with everybody, and we had like handlers and everything. And back in the day, we didn't know that there were like hallways full of fan mail for us, with the original. And there was just this throng of people outside and cosplayers and all these things we didn't have 30 years ago. And then to sit there in a theater with hundreds of people cheering at every little moment in that first couple of episodes, it was something. It was really it was not what I had on my bingo card 30 years later, just to sort of sit there and be part of such an amazing thing and realize how excited people were to see it. And that, we hadn't seen the first 2 episodes until that time either. So we were also watching, oh, wow, this is going to be a great show. So
yeah, it's a phenomenal show. Like, people don't understand how much X-Men mean to people.
That's true. The more I go to conventions and have people come up to me and tell me their stories about when they were little and eating cereal in front of the TV set on a Saturday morning. And, I think the first time someone told me that was about 10 years ago when I was at a convention for something else. And this young man was from a Chilean family, and his mother was a single mom and brought them to America. And that was how he learned English, he told me. And he was very emotional about it. So, the shared stories about childhood like that, and then now there's this new generation, and
the fandom hasn't died down. Like, the community has not died at all.
No, it's sort of got this rebirth. I was in Chicago, and this little girl in a blue dress, she couldn't have been more than like 8 years old. And I saw her family over there kind of, ushering over to my table. And I thought, okay, just be very, very gentle with this kid. 'Cause, you don't want to scare anybody here.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously I'm not blue. I don't look like Kurt, but had Kurt behind me on a poster, and she comes up and she stands like about this far away from the table, and and it's a noisy place, but in the smallest voice you could imagine, she goes, "I have 6 reasons." And I was like, that's my cue. And so in Kurt's voice, I go, "No, mein Freund, nein." And she lit up, and her family came over, and the parents who were, kids when the original was out, they're introducing their kids to the show, and the kids love the show. They love the Nightcrawler. And, that they actually use, that they said, we have a lot of stuff going on in our lives right now. And sometimes as a family, we get together and we need reasons to keep going. And one of them will say, "I have 6 reasons." And someone else will pipe up with, "No, my friend, 9. And I'd never, that little scene, but you take take and put it in your personal context, and people have this kind of personal relationship with these characters and these stories.
Right.
And it's it's amazing.
It's emotional, I bet.
Yeah. And to hear it, I mean, there's always one person, a convention, that sort of lights me up in that way, in terms of, and lights all of us up when we're there, because they have this personal story.
Right.
That's the most, I think that's the most fun thing about doing it. This is always some story personal story that people have about their childhood or what's going on in their lives, and how, the stories of these misfits, these misfit characters from all over, who sort of find family together and find
the outcast. It's like, everyone feel outcasted, and the X-Men kind of bring them together, making them feel like they're not alone. Like, that's how I feel like the X-Men are.
Yeah. Is that your experience? Is that how?
Oh man, I love the X-Men from the very beginning. Because back in the day, like, I wasn't really a popular kid, so I just like read my comic books. I just played my video games. I did all that and watch movies. And one of the things that connected with me in the Marvel universe was X-Men. And after watching the movies, I went back and I rewatched the 90s cartoons, and they hooked me. Like, every one of them did. It's like this is my stuff. And when they said that they were going to do X-Men 97, I was so excited.
Really?
Yeah, like, I was so excited. Like, my face lit up. At first, when I heard that they were making it, I'm like, oh, this ain't real. It's like, this is just rumor. And then all of a sudden, I started seeing a trailer, and I was like, okay. And my face was lit up, and like my little inner kid geek just lit up, and I'm like, X-Men forever, mutant pride.
Amazing.
And but no, it's like, I was just wondering, how does Nightcrawler's faith and spirituality affect his decision and actions, in your opinion?
It's hard for me to look at it for him from the outside, because my job is to interpret the script in front of me, emotionally and vocally, and with my acting.
Right.
I have my ideas in my head, but as an actor, I like to keep that stuff to myself.
Oh, I got you. It's like, it makes you always wonder and keep you on your feet.
Yeah, and and the people don't really want to know what an actor's thoughts are. They just want the actor to be
They want the character to be the voice. They want him to be the voice of that character.
And but he's got, like we were saying earlier, I mean, he's got so many aspects to him, and I just play the one that's in front of my nose at the time.
Right.
But it allows me to play quite a broad range of emotions and tones and vocal masks. So
yeah, it definitely shows like how like much emotion you put into it, because like how good the character story is so far. It shows you how much you put into it.
Yeah, I mean, in the scene, I think when they're over Gambit's grave and he's giving the eulogy,
Mm-hmm.
I was choking up, and then because I was like, is this too? Not part of me goes, is this too much emotion to put into an animated character? And I think, wait a minute,
No.
you'll tell me if it is. Do one happy, do one with a bigger voice. But no, we have an incredible voice director in Meredith Lane because she's really on top of it, and the communication amongst everybody there in terms of their what they're looking for. And sometimes they'll get an idea in between the first time you recorded something and their animation, and they go, oh no, we need this tone instead because we've shifted the story a bit. So it's this kind of like living thing. I mean, it's being, we have new directors in now and new writers. So it's it's an ever changing thing, and I'm always excited to see the next script. And we only, we don't get all of the scripts unless we're in all the episodes. So we have to talk amongst ourselves. Hey, so what happened in 3 or 4? I don't know. Well, that's 5. This happened, but I just like the surprise. I like being surprised when I watch the final product.
Oh yeah, like, and if it's an insider to you, for me, I think when Nightcrawler talked to Gambit, it made Gambit's fate more emotional. Like, 'cause he was guiding him about Rogue and talking about her, and like them little moments just with Gambit and Rogue together made everything good.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But which X-Men do you think Nightcrawler had the best relationship with, though? Like from the X-Men '97.
Well, I think it's got to be Rogue. I think he's very attached to Rogue and protective of her. You look at some of those episodes when Rogue is lying there, and who's next to her, who's looking after her, and that's Kurt.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a hard one for me when I thought about that. I'm like, man, it either had to be Rogue, Gambit, or Wolverine. And it's like
it's those three. So it's those three. I mean, I think that's why you see. I mean, in the episode 5 when he first appears, there's that scene where he's got his arms around Gambit, Rogue, and it's like, oh, there's these 3 amigos, this, and
until he's with Wolverine in this scene right here.
That's right. When Wolverine needs that help, he's right there.
He's right there, and he got that little smirk. I love that scene. At the very end, like he smirked like demon time and just starts swashbuckling.
Now it's time to play. That's right.
Yeah. But no, I don't know. Like from what I see, Nightcrawler has always been a big part of the X-Men lore, and all I'm gonna say is I'm excited to see what comes next of them in next season. Like that's
me too.
That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
And
we'll see. You never know. Who knows what's gonna happen?
And it's like I said, if they made a movie about X-Men '97, I'll be down, and I know that would be a big hit. And I know most of the cast would be like probably glad to join in on that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I don't think any of us would. Lenore says this a lot. She goes, it's a real privilege to play a superhero once in your life, but to be able to come back and play a superhero twice in your life, you're not gonna say no. You're not gonna walk away from that.
Right, especially if you see the impact it has on everyone, like the fandom.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. There's one other of the new actors I forgot to mention, and that is Matthew Watterson, who took over from David Hemblin in the part of Magneto. So he's done an exceptional job. In fact, after I saw the first 2 episodes in Los Angeles that time, I sought him out at the after party, and I said, David Hemblin would be proud. As absolutely brilliant. Just one absolutely brilliant. I said, and he goes, "Who are you?" And I go, "Oh, I'm Adrian. I play the Nightcrawler." He goes, "Oh, right." And
right.
But anyway, so yeah, this is just a terrific bunch, and we all get to hang out. The only time we get to hang out is actually when we go to these conventions together and do the panels, and And
I bet you're reliving memories doing that.
Oh yeah, and creating new ones too. Yeah.
And But yeah, thank you so much, Adrian, for coming on and giving us the behind the scenes on your journey in Nightcrawler.
Well, you're welcome. Yeah, it was a pleasure.
It was, and maybe one day in the future you could show up again. But it's been a real honor, and I know everyone, every geek and nerd, you like you said, you make their day like you see at the cons.
Well, I hope so. We do our best. Thank
Right.
you.
No
All right.
problem.
Appreciate it.
All right. You have a good day.
Thank you.